So we just finished recording a rather long walk around sort of first look video of our Owyhee trailer overlanding concept. And one of the things I thought would be helpful is to kind of see how a critical part of the design actually works. And I can show it to you in this video. And that's the bench bed. It's a design that we developed specifically for our Eiger vans, and kind of, again, an homage to the Westie. Interestingly, my brother's 1966 VW Splitty has a similar kind of design for the bench. It just basically turns the bench into a bed. Of course, his has a sort of a fixed part of the bed in the back where this one doesn't, because it's basically using the two benches, which are identical pieces of furniture, together to form the full-size bed. It's 54 inches wide. I think it's 76 inches long after it's made, something like that. The other nice thing about this is that each one of these pieces of furniture can operate independently of the other. So if you wanted to, for instance, turn it into kind of lounge mode or video watching mode, maybe fire up your Starlink and you want to watch some YouTube videos or want to watch a movie or Netflix or something, you can put one side of it down, so it forms this kind of nice platform, basically a really big ottoman and kind of a place for the dog to hang out too. You can leave the other side up and in sitting mode, so one side sleeping mode, the other side sitting mode, and then you've got a nice place to put your feet up as you're sitting. And as soon as this finishes, then I can put the table down. I can show you what that looks like. So you might also want to use the table for propping up your laptop or your iPad or whatever. The leg of the table is actually split into two parts. So it's actually two legs. Each one's separately hinged. So if you are going to put one side down, you just don't put down the leg on that side. You only put down the leg on the other, and that's more than sufficient to hold the table up. And then you can use the table to do that, to hold your laptop or whatever, and a drink or a snack or whatever. Okay, let's put that back up. And you can see more clearly our little cubby or niche where the power station resides. And our galley, the fridge is right here, and I'm thinking about some sort of maybe like a little trash receptacle somehow built into this cabinet. I don't know how I'm going to do it. But I kind of like the idea of having some place to put your trash inside that's not visible. They're not going to kick over. It could go into the closet, I suppose, but that's not ideal. And this cabinet is kind of where I think something like that should reside. And right next to the sink, I think, is where it should go. I might need to do a narrower sink in order to make it work. Or I might need to utilize, I don't know. I haven't really noodled that out yet, but I want to have some sort of place where you can put trash inside without having to go outside to the trash room and dump it. Eventually, all the trash will end up in the trash room or end up in the storage bin in front of this thing. That's where it's going to end up. So we can pack it out. Okay, so let's drop the other side. So to make the bed, you just pull up on the front of the bench, pull it out, slide it out. The seat of the bench and the back of the bench, the framing, are hinged to each other. So when you pull out the seat, the back comes down at the same time. And it basically just kind of slides down the wall. And we'll have to think of an elegant way to do that so it's not tearing up the fabric of the wall as it's descending. So we'll have to think about that. But that's basically the idea. And then to put it back up, you just pull. We'll have a strap or something like that. You just pull up on the back portion and push the seat, and it goes back into position. And then you use this little holder at the bottom to hold the front legs of the seat portion of this, and that will keep it in place. Should be sufficient. Yeah. And then there's parts of the stationary part of the frame which will actually hold it and kind of support the underside of the part that moves. Trust me, we'll do lots of prototyping of this to make sure we got it right. But I have a linear glide system in my FJ camper that will be perfect for something like this. So we'll use that linear glide, same sort of thing, to allow this thing to slide forward evenly and nicely. And it will do it in such a way that the frame part of it can pivot on the car. Yeah. So the car will slide horizontally, but the connection to the frame will allow the frame to pivot on the car. So it has this nice slight little angle. It's 2%. So just a nice little angle just to make the sitting a little bit more comfortable. So it's not dead flat. Yeah, so that's pretty much it. Now over here, you can see at some point I was thinking, oh, we're gonna do a full-blown prismatic cell battery and inverter setup in this with shore power and all of that stuff, and I think that's overkill for this trailer. I mean, we could certainly probably do it, and we might have room to do it, to do all those components, but it just adds a lot of complexity, and I don't think you're buying a lot, and I think it's actually more expensive than just doing a power station, in which case this is an AC breaker box. There's no AC breakers. You don't need them. So you've got, if you need AC outlets, it's plugged directly into one of the AC outlets in the power station. My Anchor Solix had 5 AC outlets. 5 AC outlets. The Jackery that I bought to replace it has 3. The EcoFlow Delta 2 has 2 3-prong, even though there's actually more AC outlets than that, but there's really only 2 dedicated 3-prongs, and you really need 3 prongs for most of the things that you're doing. Yeah, the Jackery isn't fully tested yet, but I'm thinking the Jackery, there's a new 1000 plus or something like that that is extensible. You can add additional battery packs to it. It's basically just like the V2, only kind of just better and maybe slightly more powerful. I don't know. I don't think you're going to need anything more than a typical 1000. Anything in that class of power station is probably going to be sufficient for this. But I think there's room to go a little bit bigger. If you want to go a little bit bigger, certainly room. So jury's still out on that. And then, of course, behind the table is the pantry where dry goods can be stored. There's also, I'll drop the table again, there's also storage immediately behind where that's covered by the table when it's up and locked in its traveling position. We can use for booze or wine or whatever. And, of course, that'll all be detailed in terms of exactly how to do that. But, yeah, because, when you're at camp, it helps, especially when it's cold. And then also underneath each bench, there's room to store duffel bags and stuff like that. So, when I'm camping, I like to live out of a duffel, and that's a good place to do that. There's also the closet. So the closet can be also used for clothing in addition to bedding and stuff like that. Maybe a sleeping bag. I don't know. Some people like sheets and blankets and all that stuff. I usually just go with a sleeping bag, but you could you have a nice double bag. I mean, it's certainly going to be warm enough inside of this trailer, so you don't really have to. You're not going to have to worry about sub-zero or close to zero, 32 degrees, etc., or even colder temperatures inside the trailer. The trailer was going to be nice and toasty. Of course, we got the attic fan to exhaust any. You just crack that slightly just to make sure that the inside of the trailer breathes. So you don't get condensation on the inside. But yeah, so it's been a fun project. I can see in my mind's eye how to build this, and I've done some research on how to make the walls, and I think I have a pretty good idea how to make the walls and the roof. So it's and now I just have to think about, okay, how do I make sure the exterior is watertight? I have to think about that a little bit. But I've thought about the insulation. I've thought about how to do the flooring, etc. And the base frame of this is really simple. It's just welded steel. Nothing complicated. Any metal fabricator can build it. The aluminum's a little trickier because it's aluminum, and we're welding aluminum, and not everybody has those skills, but I certainly know enough fabricators who do. I might even take it to a boat builder who I know and get some help there. And then it's really just a matter of fabricating the exterior panels, screwing them on, and then putting the connective covers, covering all the joints, etc., to make sure it's watertight. And that's not a terribly difficult exercise. And then at the end, we'll do all the vinyl wrapping and all that stuff to make it cool. But yeah, and then figure out the windows. So got some research to do there. Anyway, hope you enjoyed, and thanks so much.